So my sister has a very different worldview than I do. She has a very different set of beliefs, and that's fine. She's an adult. She has every right to be wrong. I don't really fault her for it, such is life. But the other day, we were having a conversation, and she was talking to me about some of these ideas and perspectives. And she was telling me about how she believes that it's the government's job to provide certain things for people, be that access to clean foods or affordable housing or good jobs, affordable health care, and all of the things along those lines. And that's all well and fine. Personally, I don't have a real opinion about that. I don't think or care, quite honestly, if they choose to provide these things and or not, and I don't really have any real perspective on whether or not that's what it is that they should be doing. And the reason for that I will get to momentarily. But the point is, it doesn't matter whether or not that's correct. So let's just say it is correct. Let's say she is right. Let's say that the government, the politicians, and all the individual government units in the individual states and cities all have this obligation to the people to make sure that they are providing these things, that everyone everywhere has access to healthy food, everyone can afford housing. I don't specifically know what it is that looks like because people make wildly different amounts of money, but whatever, doesn't matter. Let's say that it is their obligation to do these things and to make sure that everyone has access to jobs and everyone can afford healthcare, right? That's fine. All of these things are true. And that sounds amazing. I'm sure that that would do a lot of amazing things for people's lives, especially the people who don't want to try as hard, or as other people say, underprivileged and or disadvantaged populations. I'm sure that would do wonders for them. So, great. I agree that that's true. Now what, though? Because the idea that everyone agrees on that or people agree on that doesn't actually mean anything. Everyone agreeing that that's what the case should be doesn't make it the case. So who cares? What does that do? Because at the end of the day, regardless of how it is that you slice it, regardless of how it is that you feel about it, regardless of your righteousness and moralizing and coming to these conclusions, your pontifications and all of your examples that you can use to prove why that's the case, it's still not the case. Some people don't have access to healthy foods, allegedly. Some people don't have access to affordable health care. Some people do not have access to affordable housing. Some people do not have access to good jobs, whether that be their qualifications or even just what's available in their area. Maybe we can all agree that the minimum wage should be higher. Maybe we could all agree that the minimum wage should be enough for people to afford, say, a house and lots of food and a car and health insurance and money to do random activities and also to be able to save up. That's fine. That's amazing that everyone thinks that. But now what? What does that do? Because thinking these things does not change these things. If you live somewhere where there is no quality food, you convincing other people that should be the case doesn't change it, because you still don't have access to this food. And if you want access to this food, you have to figure out a way to get access to this food. If there are no good jobs by you and you're for some reason someone who can't figure out how to make money on the internet, then you need to figure out how to get to somewhere that you can get a good job. If healthcare is too expensive for you, it's not going to be cheaper because people agree that it should be cheaper. What's going to help you is taking care of your health, because that's something that you can control and figuring out how to make more money. All of this ideal fantasy world does not matter. You have to live in the real world, in the times that are currently happening now. And in the world that we live in, healthcare might be too expensive. Okay, such is life. But it's not going to get cheaper because you talk about it and you complain about it on the internet. You can only do the things that you can do. You can only affect the things that you can affect. If the housing market is high and you feel houses are too expensive, that's fine. Maybe lots of people agree with you. but houses cost what it is that they cost. So you can either not have a house, or you could figure out how to make more money so that you can get a house. You can either not have good health care, or you could figure out how to make more money so that you can afford good health care, or you could just take care of your health. So it's not really that big of an issue to begin with, because I believe most of these things are manufactured and a result of a poor lifestyle, but that as a whole is an entirely different conversation. All of these, this is what things should be, doesn't matter. It doesn't change what is. And honestly, even if it did, even if everyone agreed to all of this, and even if all of the powers that be and the people in charge of the world and the governments and the politicians all came to the same conclusion and said, yes, you are right, we should provide these things for you. It is a human right, as people like to say, to have these things. That's fine. But those changes aren't going to happen now. They're not going to happen probably for at least a generation, or at the very least a decade plus. So none of that stuff helps you now. And you live in the world that we live in currently, and that is the world that you need to figure out how to navigate. You can go and look at any game that you might play and say, man, if only I could do this instead of this, I would be able to win. And that's probably true, and that's amazing. But that's not the rules of the game. You need to figure out how to operate within the rules of the game. This is what people miss when they make all of these arguments about all of this stuff about how things should be. Even if you're right, it doesn't matter, because that's not the world that we're living in now. I see lots of people talking about how rent shouldn't be more than a mortgage. Like they think that it's unfair that they themselves are paying more for rent than the landlords are paying for the mortgage on their property. And it offends them deeply that people who own properties are able to make money off of these properties while they have to give them their money, because apparently they have absolutely no understanding of how it is that the economy works. Because functionally saying that the rent that you pay should be less than the mortgage that they pay is just like saying Walmart should buy items for $1 and sell it to you for 90 cents. That's ridiculous, because nobody is paying to be able to give you things. Because if Walmart had to purchase things for $1 and sell them to you for 90 cents, well, then they just wouldn't exist, because there's absolutely no point in doing that. They are not running a charity. The landlords who own these houses are not running charities. Nobody who has a business is running a charity. They are doing it to make money, and that is the way that they make money. So the idea that your rent should be cheaper than someone's mortgage is a very, very stupid belief. It's nonsensical, and it is entitled. And if that was the case also, this is a mild side rant here, but if that was the case, then you wouldn't have the houses to rent to begin with, because the only reason that these people are providing you these houses to rent are so they can make money. The only reason people build houses is so that they can make money. The only reason people sell houses is so that they can make money. No one's just doing it for the sake of it, but I digress. That is a separate point. Let's say that you are right. Let's say that landlords should not be able to charge that much money for rent, and it should be less than their mortgage. And for some reason or in some way, that made sense. Amazing. But it's not the case. Who cares? Rent costs what it costs. You complaining about it isn't going to make it cheaper. You have to live in the world where rent is what it is, and you have to figure out a way to pay that if you would like to make your life better. If you would like to not have to struggle with money, then you need to figure out a way to not struggle with money. The goal or the solution isn't for everyone to make everything cheaper so that you can afford it. It's so that the solution is you making more money so that you can more easily afford these things. Despite what people say, that's a very possible thing to do. People do it all of the time. I did it. I used to barely be able to afford my $600 rent back when rent was $600. And now I pay much more than that every single month to live, and I do it comfortably because I did not just sit around waiting for the world to randomly accommodate me. Maybe the branches of the tree are higher than you would like to be able to climb, but the tree is never going to be able to lower those branches for you to reach them. If you want to get up there, you need to figure out how to climb the tree. You need to go buy a ladder. You need to go build a ladder. You need to get proficient with a grappling hook. There are all kinds of solutions to your problems, but other people people solving them for you is never going to do that. You can figure out how to make your situation better, or you can sit around complaining and waiting for someone else to do it for you. But never in the history of ever has that taken place. That's not how the world works. Everyone who has bettered their life has taken it upon themselves to better their life. And even the people who do affect these types of changes actually go out and do something about it, not just complain about it until someone else does something about it. But that seems to be everyone's solution to everything nowadays, is I have a problem and I'm going to point out my problem until someone pops up and fixes my problem. This is what people complain about with the gas prices. This is what they talk about with the healthcare thing. This is even what people talk about with the body positivity thing, is that other people don't like their bodies and that makes them feel bad about themselves. And the premise behind that is the world needs to change its perspective so you can be happy how it is that you are and not do anything to exert yourself to have to better your situation yourself. Because if you're mad that people are shaming you for your body, then you can, again, sit there and complain and whine about it and hope that that makes other people stop shaming you for your body. Or you could change your body into one that no one will shame you about, and then you won't have to worry about people shaming you for your body. But the thing is, you can't control what other people do. You can't control the policies that other people implement. I know that they tell you you could do it with the voting, but all of that's nonsense, and all they're really doing still is giving you, do you want A or B? It's not a real choice because you don't get to holistically pick. You can't say this is what we want, make it happen. They say we will do this or this. Pick. And that seems like a choice, but it's just two predetermined things and you're selecting which one of the things it is that you would like. So if you want to change something, you have to change the thing. None of the rest of it matters. Maybe you're in a difficult situation. Maybe you are a single parent and you work 2 jobs and that you are barely able to pay your rent and provide food for your children and be able to take them to work in to school and the doctor and all of that stuff. Maybe that's true. And maybe in that scenario, it would be nice if the government or some random benevolent rich person would give you extra money every single month to take stuff off of your plate and free up your time so you could be able to do all of these other things. But that's not the case. That's not what's happening. What you can do is figure out how to make it work. Will that be difficult? Yeah. Such is life, though. You can sacrifice some of your time, you can sacrifice some of your sleep, you can sacrifice some of your leisure, but at the end of the day, that's the only way that anything is ever going to change. Or otherwise, if you're not willing to take it into your own hands, then you are just waiting for someone to come along and fix it. And that is never going to happen. That has never happened for anyone. So it doesn't, none of the rest of the stuff matters. None of this self-righteousness and fantasizing and debating about what should be the case makes anything be the case. The case is the case. And if you are in an unfavorable position, if you are in an unfavorable situation, that's tough. Such is life, though. At the end of the day, still, you are choosing to be there. And the choice that you have to make might be a difficult one. It might not be easy, but you still have the choice. And most people, again, choose to sit around and wait for someone else rather than choose to do it for themselves, because doing it for themselves is a much more difficult thing. If you've ever seen the movie Saw, at the end, the main Saw victim, whatever, is chained up to a pipe in an underground bathroom. And I think it's underground. Doesn't matter. He's chained up to a pipe in a bathroom. And he has 2 choices. He could sit there and he can hope and pray that someone comes to save him and finds him and realizes that he's missing and puts out some manhunt and then goes and combs through the whole city or wherever the hell it is that they are and pops through that door before he starves to death and cut him free from his chains and takes him up to safety and gets him back to his regular life. And maybe that'll happen. But there's also a great possibility that he will die waiting for that to happen. Die of starvation, die of whatever else it is that you might die from sitting in some dirty, nasty bathroom. Or his other choice is he could take the saw that he was very graciously given and use it to cut off his foot and crawl to freedom, crawl to get himself help. Now, will he die from the blood loss from cutting off his foot? Maybe. Will he make it to freedom just because he's removed his foot from the shackles? Not necessarily, but at least he has the option then, and at least he's doing what it is that he can do. Yes, it will be incredibly difficult to saw off your own foot. That will probably be a very terrible experience. I don't know. I've never done it, but I can only imagine it would not be pleasant. But regardless of the fact of whether or not it will suck, whether it's a good choice or not, it's still a choice. He still has the choice. So if he doesn't want to sit there and die in a bathroom, then he's going to have to cut his foot off, period. And that is the situation that the majority of people are in currently. Only they are sitting in the bathroom, risking starvation, hoping that someone else comes to save them because they don't like the choices that they have. They are upset that their choice is a saw rather than a key to the lock. But such is life. That's the choice that you've been given. It is a saw. And if you must cut your foot off, then you must cut your foot off or you can die. And there are many, many people who have had these same exact choices and they have chosen to cut their foot off, and it has paid off amazingly for them. Because regardless of what it is that you tell yourself, everyone is beholden to the same rules as you. Everyone else is subject to the same housing prices and healthcare prices and job market and food availability and all of that as you. Yes, some people are born in different places. Amazing. Such is life. But once you are starting off somewhere, or after you've started off somewhere, you have the ability to go wherever it is that you like. Is it harder for some people? Yes, absolutely. Is it easier for some people? Also yes. But regardless, everyone still has the same rules that they are beholden to. You can't do certain things, other people can't do certain things, but they find a way. When you play a video game, everyone has the same controller, everyone has the same controls. The A button is jump, and the little back button thingy on the back of the controller that you squeeze, don't know what it's called, is shoot, just like with everyone else's. Everyone has the same items, everyone is bound by the rules of the same world that they live in. No one is running around. I don't factually know this because I don't play video games, but you understand the point that I'm making. No one is running around Grand Theft Auto with Superman powers while everyone else just has pistols and assault rifles. So everyone collectively has the same thing. But some people are much better than others at the game because they play it differently, they play it harder, they try harder, and they are unwilling to accept mediocrity. Most people accept mediocrity waiting for someone to come around and deliver them greatness, or at the very least deliver to them okayness. But that's not going to happen. You live in the world that you live in, not the world that you want to live in. And if you're not going to figure out how to navigate this world, then you are going to suffer in it, and no one is going to give a fuck.